Welcome to the third round of Footy Fix. This week, Stakes is off getting a facial, so we've got the great man, Pearce Hanley. Pearce, great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Charman. Excited. It's a big week coming up. Big Brownie's back, so ready to get stuck into it.
Let's throw to Ash McGrath to hear about what happened last week and hear about this week's game.
That's one thing we learned from last week. We probably didn't do our homework on Carlton as much as we should have, and I think Carlton did their homework against us and knew how to pull us apart. So, halves, I'm sure you'll say something today, but I think everyone's more focused on one direction, being in Sydney. So, everyone's excited they're here, and come 2 o'clock we'll focus on Fremantle.
Pearce, as you know, Subiaco's a really big ground. Mate, as a running halfback, must be a good feeling to have a little bit more space this week to work in.
Yeah, it's exciting. Last week, Carlton pressured it up, so it wasn't able to give too much rebound. A lot longer ground, so the likes of hopefully me and Ash McGrath, these boys can give a bit more run and a bit more space to show off our running. So,
a little bit disappointing. Simon Black's out this week, but there's a chance Drummond could be back in. Obviously, Brown's back in. Some key players back in for us, so that's big for us.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we get a super boot back in there, and I'm sure a lot of the younger lads like Paul Kinghorn and hopefully Beamsy and Rocky will step up and take a full Blackie shoes.
Mate, last week in the reserves we had obviously Drummond, who starred in the reserves, Harwood, Sheldon, Carnesis. Who out of those four do you think will get back in this week?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I heard Paddy went very well in reserves. Ryan Harwood's put a few good performances together, and Sammy Sheldon's always putting his hand up. He's a great pressure forward in the forward line, which is always good to have. Assistant
coach Mark Harvey, Fremantle's senior coach last year. Mate, has he been a little bit more fired up this week?
He's always pretty quiet, and he has been for this week, but he had a chat to a few of the boys this morning and said if you want any intel on players, to come and have a word with them.
Let's go to Ash McGrath to hear about his thoughts on the situation.
Halves is always fired up. The boys get into him. If you see him walking around here today, or the Sabo, he's got the worst kit in history. So he runs around in board shorts. I think he gets more fired up at the boys digging into him about that. But he's going to come up against his old team, and there's naturally going to be some fire there the way he left. But Halves is here now. He's part of us, and he's there to do a job just like everyone else.
Thanks for tuning in, and Pearce, thanks for coming along on this week's Footy Fix. Pearce, as you know,
not yet, but I will be. Hopefully on the flight over.
Good times. See you next week on this week's Footy. And we'll see you next week.